V. Good morning. I'm awake, Pete. Y'all gonna be awake with me, right? There's fuzzies floating around up here. Um, this morning, I am gonna speak from where I am. You know, we all have. I don't know. I thought I was gonna speak. I was gonna say something different this morning, but I can't say anything different than what God's saying to me, right? So, and when you're in something, when you're in the middle of something, then God's speaking to you about that, and that's just the way it is. So y'all just have to listen to that this morning, okay? I this week, something Pastor Randy preached last week. God has been saying to me this week, and I had Leah ask me some questions this week, and I just said what was in my heart, what God was saying to me, and I'm going to be emotional, so I apologize. My child, she's a teenage girl, so talking to her mom was like, I don't know. She doesn't tell me anything, nothing, until she gets ready to, It's like she'll tell everybody in the world, and I'm the last person to know. But, that's okay. And she talks to Mimi a lot, so that's fine, too. I know who she's talking to, and she's getting the right advice, so we're good there. But, so Mimi had to tell me that Leah said that what my mama said to me gave me peace. She said, I just felt God's peace. And I said, well, thank you, Jesus. And so I believe that we're in a place in this house where Pastor Randy taught last week about faith and faith without works, and a prayer of faith. And this week, as I spoke to my daughter, those were words that came out of my mouth. And I believe that we are all at a place where, and Pastor Randy says it, I don't even know how many times I've heard him say it. It either works or it doesn't. Let's go home and watch Andy Griffith, right? It's either true or why are we here? And that was something that I had to relay to a 13-year-old. in her where she is, where we are right now, because she was very shaken and did not understand. And I have to look at my 13-year-old and say, you know what, baby? I don't understand why everything happens. I don't know. I can't tell you why things happen. I thought this morning, you know what? If Adam and Eve, why Eve? Why did you have to why did you have to partake of that fruit? You know, we could have all lived in the Garden of Eden and everything would have been perfect. Life would have been perfect. There would have been nothing but perfection in our life, period. But guess what? She did. And guess what? Life is not. Things that happen to us come from a world that we live in that is not perfect. That's the only answer I have. The only other answer that I have to give. But what I do know, and what I do understand because I have a relationship with my God, is that my God is bigger than all of those things. My God is greater than all of those things that happen, than all of the things that we face, than all of the things that come into our life, and that He is bigger than those things. He is greater than those things. He is more awesome than any of those things that come into our life. And I told her, I said, we have to come to a place where our mind is made up.
Yes. Yes.
That our mind is made up. That there are no questions in me about who my God is. That's where, to me, that's where I've said for months, I don't even know how long I've been saying it. I said it last time I spoke. My understanding of where Angie is right now, where am I? I'm seated with Him in heavenly places, period. And that will never change from this time forward. From the time before I was even thought of, until eternity, that is where I am. I don't have, there's no question in my mind about that. I don't worry about that. I don't have fear about that. I don't have concern about that. You know what? That was something that God had to do in me. Because you know what? When I was a kid, I worried about that. I was concerned about that. You know, God spoke something inside of me that became so much a part of me that guess what? There's no worry or fear anymore. There's no concern because of something He did in me. Okay? So that's gone away. There's no more concern there. So there has to be something done inside of me. There has to be something happen in me, not to me, not on the outside of me, but on the inside of me, that makes up my mind once and for all. That changes me to the point that there is no longer any concern. There's no longer any worry or fret. There's no longer anything that will stop me from knowing who I am, who He created me to be in Him, right here and now. I'm going to read Pastor Randy's scripture that he read last Sunday. James 5, verse 13. And yeah, hey, I'm going to do King James today, Shannon. I don't know what happened to me. James 5:13. Okay, it says, if any among you afflicted, let him pray. And if any merry, let him sing psalms. Is any sick among you? Let him call on the elders of the church and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. And this tells me in the same work, the same time, the man was healed and the man was forgiven of sins. In the same work, we were saved, and we were healed. And there's so many other things that were provided in the very same work. In the very same work that I have complete and total faith in, that I am, my spirit man is saved. In that same work, I have complete and total faith that happened. Christ provided for my whole man, spirit, soul, and body. Pastor Randy has been preaching that for 100 years. I don't know how many years. Since I was like 15 years old. That's a long time. I'm only 25. Okay, so Pastor Randy has preached to us salvation, spirit, soul, and body. My whole man, total preservation for the whole man, all of me, was provided for in the same work. But yet we have no qualms about what it provided for my spirit. Any of you have doubts about your spirit man and where it's going and what's happening to it and where it is and where it shall be for eternity? We have no qualms about that, right? There's no concern in us at all, period. But yet we have concern about this soul and about this body. We have concern about that. Okay, Angie has concern. Okay, I will speak for Angie. Okay, I'll speak for me. Okay? But as much as I have faith in what Christ did for my spirit man, there should be the same faith about what Christ has done for my soul and my body. The same faith. The same. There was no less work done for my soul and my body than there was done for my spirit. The same work, the same amount, no less, no more, the same amount. This is what God's saying to me. The same amount of work that I did to save your soul, your spirit, is the same amount of work I did to save your soul and your body. The same thing. I didn't do anything different. It was the same work. It was the same thing. It all happened at the same time to the same person. Who was that person it happened to? It happened to Jesus Christ so that it could happen to me. And he did it through him for me, for every man. So we were all provided for exactly the same. But my mind has to be made up about that. God did something in me this week. He made my mind up. There's a place in me there's something that happened that shifted in me this week that said, my mind is made up. I'm not, you know what? What is Angie's biggest fear? Can y'all tell me what my biggest fear is? Huh? Looking stupid. Somebody's going to say, that is a crazy person right there. Somebody's going to look at me and say, I say it up here all the time. I say it all the time. Do you know what I looked at my daughter and said this week? I said, they're going to say I'm crazy. They're going to say that person right there has lost her mind. But you know what? I'd rather them look at me and say, that's a crazy person. And me stand there, a healed person. Me stand there, a person that knows that I'm provided for, spirit, soul, and body. And you know what? They may say I'm crazy, but they're going to say, that person has something that I need. That person has something that I don't have. That person, guess what, lives in a way that other people don't live. That person lives a life that I desire to live. And they can say I'm crazy all day long, but you know what? They're going to want something that I got. They're going to want something that I possess. And they can't have what I have until I possess it. I talked about that the last time. Until I possess something, until I have it, I can't give it to you.
Until it's part of me, then I cannot give it to you. It has to be part of who I am. It has to be something that is part of me before I can give it away. Can't give something away I don't have. You know, you come to my house and you want to borrow eggs, and there's no eggs in the refrigerator. I can't give them to you. Can't give them to you. But if they're there and I have them, then you can have them. I'll more than gladly give them to you. You know why? Because there's always going to be eggs in my refrigerator. They're never going to run out. They're never going to run out. It's always there. There's a continuous flow of Christ in me that's never going to run dry. That it's never going to be empty. It's never gone. It never deplenishes. It never goes away. It will always be there. No matter how much I give you, there's always more. There's always more for me to give. But I got to understand it's part of who I am. It's part of what He provided for me. Let's go to Galatians chapter 2 and verse 20. King James, we're going to stay in King James today. Why? Because y'all know it. You've heard it. How many times have you heard it? It says, I'm crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, and not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself for me. We have to come to the point that, guess what? It's not about me. Never has been about me. Never gonna be about me. The Bible tells us, you know what? If you could have saved yourself, you would have done it. And then guess what you would have done? You would have bragged about it. You would have said, hey, look at me. You know what? I used to think that's what I needed to do. I was a good kid. I listened to my mom and daddy. I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't hang around with the wrong people. I didn't smoke, drink, or chew, or hang around with those that do. I did all those things. But you know what that made me? Nothing. No better than the ones who did it. You know why? Because I was doing something from a performance mentality. I was doing something because I thought that's what I had to do to be right, because I was taught that you better do it that way or you're going to die in your sleep and you're going to go to hell. You know what? It wasn't then. It wasn't about me either. Do I think I ought to live right and I ought to do what God... Absolutely. You know what? But if I understand it's not about me. It has nothing to do with me. Never was about me. And there's nothing in this that has anything to do with me. It's not even my faith. It's the faith of the Son of God. It's not even mine. But I got to shift. I've got to change the way I look. I'm looking over here and I'm looking at all the things that keep me bound up and keep me in a box and that keep me closed off and that keep me from receiving and that keep me from flowing in Him and that keep me from a manifestation of Christ. And I look at them, and you know what? Everything I look at is because I look at me. Because I look at me and I look at what I've done and why I'm not worthy enough and why I can't have it and why this person deserves it over me and why this and that and the other and all the things I've done wrong. If I shift my mentality and I look at things that it's not about me, it has nothing to do with me, it has to do with what Christ has done for me. And I look at it from there, guess what? There's nothing that stops me. There's nothing in my way. You know why? Because it's not about me. It's not about whether I deserve it or I earned it or anything else. It's all, guess what? He already did it. He already provided for it. He already made it for me. He's already put it on the inside of me. I am everything I'm going to be in Him. I possess it all. I possess everything that Christ did. In His death, burial, and resurrection, He put it on the inside of me. It's already there. It's already part of who I am. Why? Because He said so. We tell our children that all the time, because I said so. And my 13, Leah still looks at me and says, but why, Mama? Just because I said so. It doesn't matter. just because. We need to get that way with God because He said so. That's all that matters. Because He said so. Because He said so. That's the only reason why. No other reason. But it all comes, every bit of it starts with my relationship with Him. Every bit of it starts with a relationship with Him. You know why? Because I know Him. I told Leah, I said, you know what? The God that I know is the God that's full of grace and full of mercy and full of love, and it's my Papa. It's my daddy who says, come on, baby, I got something for us to do, and it's going to be exciting. Come on, baby, I got something today that's going to be exciting. You know what? You're going to see me move. You're going to see me work. You're going to see my hand. It's exciting. I have something to do through you. I have someone for you to touch. I have someone for you to minister to. I have someone for the life that I have in you, that I've put in you, to spill out all over somebody. That's the God that I know. That's the God I have a relationship with. And you know what? I know what His will for me is. You know what His will for me is? That all things work together for my good. That's His will for our life. His will for my life is that all things work together for my good. Romans 8, verse 26. Says, likewise the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities, for we know not what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit itself seeketh intercession for us with groanings that cannot be uttered. Many times as Pastor Randy told us, pray in the Spirit, pray in the Spirit, pray in the Spirit. Why I pray in the Spirit? Because you know what? Things that I say don't really, there again, what I say don't really matter. I'm beginning to understand more and more. It's not about me. It's not, I don't need to sound all pious and say the right words and for it to sound right. You know why? Because my spirit man is totally, completely engulfed in Jesus Christ. It is Christ in me. My spirit is Christ in me. Guess what? And Christ knows the end. He knows where we're going. He knows where I'm going to end up. And He knows that everything He's done in my life is for my good. Every bit of it. Everything. Do I understand it all from the very beginning? Absolutely not. I don't understand it all. But I do understand that everything that has happened, that everything that God has put in my life and everything that Christ has done for me is for my good. And that my life is going to be, I said something about the Garden of Eden. If we'd been left there, life would have been perfect. There would have been no questions, right? Because they were in communication. They audibly heard the voice of God. They audibly, can you imagine audibly hearing the voice of God? I've never audibly heard the voice of God. I've heard the voice of God in here, but not out here, except for through someone else. I heard your voice and I heard God through that. But to know that you were speaking with God, that He came down in your midst and you heard His voice, and yet you still did what He told you not to. Sounds like children, right? Sounds just like them. Sounds just like them. So we're all children. But my prayer doesn't even have to come from here. My prayer comes from here. Comes from here. Which groanings that cannot be uttered. And He that searcheth the heart knoweth what the mind of the What is the mind of the Spirit? Because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God. What is the will of God? And we know that all things work together for good for them that love God and to them who are called according to his purpose. Who does that leave out? If we believe that Christ died for every man, if we believe that Christ died for every man, then every person is called according to his purpose, whether they see it or not, whether they understand what that purpose is, whether they get it or not. My God is bigger than all of it. Than all of it. I'm at a place where, just like there has got to be some truth. I got to see some truth. I'm tired of your facts. I'm tired of what the facts say. I need to see some truth. I need to see God's truth. And I need to see it in everything. In every place, and everywhere that I go, and everything that I do, and every person that I'm around, I need to see some truth. I don't want to play around anymore. I don't want it to be something that we come to church on Sunday morning, and we come to church on Wednesday night, and we wonder what we ought to do different here, and what we ought to do different there, and how we can get people in, and how we can minister to people, and all. It's frustrating. I don't care. I'm at a place, it's real or it's not. It's real or it's not. And I need to see real in every part of my life. I need to see real everywhere, in everything. And this week, God he said, look, you just said it out of your mouth. You just spoke it. And you didn't speak it because you had planned it, or you had tried to work it up, or you had been thinking about it, and it was a planned thing. It was what was inside of you. It's what I've put on the inside of you. When the time came and the question came, what was real to you came out. What I have put on the inside of you came out. Not something that was fear and doubt and unbelief, but something that said, I know my God. I know who he is. I know what he's capable of. I know who he is on the inside of me. I know who he is to you. I know who he is on the inside of you, whether you can see it or understand it at all. But the words came, my mind is made up. There's no more question. You can say whatever you want to say. You can do whatever you want to do. But there's something that's changed on the inside of me. Something that's not about Angie. Has nothing to do with me. You know why? Because I'm helpless. I can't make anything happen. But I can see who my God is. And I can't allow him to change something on the inside of me to the place where I am in the spirit becomes where I am soul and body. Consumes me to the point that it doesn't matter anymore what you say about me. You're going to say I'm crazy, and it's okay. It's quite all right if my children grow up knowing and believing something and it being part of them to the point where they never question. They never question. There's never a concern or a doubt or a fear or a worry in them, because guess what? God's been all they've ever seen. All they've ever known is that God was there. God had already provided. God had already made a way. God already knew the end before I did. And there was peace because I knew my God had it. There was peace because I knew my God is real. And I know He's true. And I know He's faithful. And I know He loves me more than anybody else. More than anything else, He loves me. He loves me. And they never have to go through the things I went through. They never have to have the worries or the fears or doubts, because they know who God is. Allow God in the things that are there. We are all in a different place. We all have different things in our lives that we face. Whether it's here or in this body or in this life that we now live, in this flesh. No matter where it is, He's already provided for it. Just the same way He provided for this spirit man, all of those things were provided for. Allow God to make up your mind. Allow Him to shift something in you to the point where there's no fear or worry or doubt or concern. There's nothing there except for God. There's nothing there except for Him. Because it doesn't matter what it is. He provided for it all the same. He provided for it all the same. But my mind's got to be made up. That it's not about me, not about what I can do, what I can make happen. It's about what He's already done, what He's already made happen, what He's already put on the inside of me, the provision He's already given me. That's never going to run out, never going to be diminished. The eggs will always be in the refrigerator. How stupid is that? But you know what? I won't forget it. They're always there. They never run out. I can always give some to you, and I still have plenty for me. And I give some to Sally, and I'll give some to Sharon, and I'll give some to Beverly, I'll give some to Shannon. I'll give some to everybody, and I still have enough for me. It never runs out. The Christ on the inside of you never diminishes, never goes anywhere. The more you give, the more you get. Possess it yourselves. Have it. Make it part of who you are. I don't know. I'm just so full. I don't. Somebody help me. I want everybody to feel the way I did, to know the way I knew, to have the assurance of who you are in Him. It was so real, and it wasn't something that just faded or went away or just as much a part of me today as it was 3 days ago. And you can't take it away. You can't change it. You know why? Because it is truth. It is now a truth that's a part of who I am. And no matter what I face, that truth is always there. That truth will remain. It will not diminish. It will not go away. It needs to be a manifestation of Him in us that is so powerful, that is so real, that when we come in this place together, that we can't stop each other. That we are so over, that this place is a place for me to celebrate and to be excited and to be, I can be crazy here without anybody saying I'm crazy. You know why? Because you feel the same way I do. Because it's so much a part of you that you can't sit still either. That you can't stand still, that you can't stop. You can't stop dancing. You can't stop jumping. You can't stop spinning. Because you know why? Because the God on the inside of you is so big and so great, and you've seen such a manifestation of Him in you, that when you come here, that it's a place for it just to spill out all over the place. You know, it's like when something happened good, you can't wait till you get home to tell mama. Like, you're so excited, you can't wait till you get to somebody who you love to tell them how good it was. That you can't wait to get here to tell me how good it was. That you can't wait. I'm done.